waiting for this one. Listen, I've had The Incredibles. That's been my Fantastic Four for 15 years. I finally have my Fantastic Four film.
Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And Annmarie, just say it. What we just got.
We just got out of seeing Fantastic Four First Steps.
First steps into this back to back great superhero movies.
Oh my gosh, you guys, let me just start off this. I am a massive Fantastic Four fan. When I was 7 years old, my older brother gave me Fantastic Four first year, handed me it, and I read it. Before I even knew how to really read, I read it. And this movie, I felt like that 7-year-old all over again. This movie's awesome.
Most Fantastic Four fans, like ones that stayed true and grew up with the comics, are really gonna love this one, like Annmarie. Like truly, it's a movie that is true to heart of its source material and does carry that Matt Shakman quality. Matt Shakman being the director, who did WandaVision.
Yes.
And he really brings it here. The quality, the angles of certain shots are really like ripped out like a Jack Kirby comic book. So bravo, like it's just right there for the fans to gobble up and devour.
Yeah, it's so cool because we just had an amazing comic book film with Superman, and now we have this, and it feels like this was just made for the fans. That's the way I feel truly. I felt like this was made specially for me, and I just absolutely love it. This cast is fantastic, by the way. When they were first cast, you can ask Ethan. I was not sure about Pedro. I wasn't really sure about Joseph Quinn. I loved every single one of them.
Yeah, their chemistry, as a family, it really is reminiscent of a true, family with difficulties, their own dynamics, and just one that even though they have these fantastic, incredible abilities, it does feel like, a true, genuine family. And, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, their dynamic is so truly believable, especially when they have some conflict with each other. By the way, this is a spoiler-free review.
Yes.
Let's state that right out of the gate here. So our spoiler review will be out on the coming days. We'll give you guys some time to see the movie. But yeah, we won't get into any spoilers here. But be on the lookout for that spoiler review soon. But you are safe here for now. The dynamic between Sue and Reed really, I think, shines here. Like, I mean, I love Johnny and Ben. I love everything they have going on there. Like, basically, brother dynamic is wonderful. But Sue and Reed really shine here. They are so believable, and every time they're on the screen together, just having a simple conversation, it really steals the show.
Yeah, and I think this is so interesting because they brought in such a new dynamic. They're parents. In the trailers, we know that they have a child, and they're parents here. And this is something that we haven't seen in many superhero movies. And actually, I don't think we've seen it at all. Superheroes being parents, except maybe Superman and Lois, which was on CW. So this is something that's really unique and really interesting as a fan in the comic book. And it really does. They play their comic book characters really well. There's a certain type of Reed that I like, and I feel like Pedro Pascal played that Reed perfectly in this movie.
Yes, he was showing, again, we like the quote unquote asshole Reed.
I love asshole Reed.
And, Pedro does channel quite a bit of it. Not as much as I thought he would, but then again, as you kind of like watch the movie, you kind of get a feel for like, he's getting there.
Yeah, like he's like one bad day away from being that.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it does drop hints of that. It does stay true to the character and the essence of Reed Richards. But we're talking about the main four here, which is great. But let's talk about my favorite character of the movie, and that was Galactus.
Oh, you guys, Galactus is like the coolest freaking villain in the Fantastic Four universe. It's right up there with Doctor Doom. This was terrifying. Like, legit, so scary that they made Galactus. I think his scale is just something that you have to compare kind of to like the Godzilla movies where his scale is just huge and oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of like take the scale of Godzilla, but take the suspense of Jaws. You
Yes.
know, it's just he doesn't say much, which I love. I love that he's not conversationalist.
Mhm.
He's just like, I want, and this is what I said when we first, were talking about like this movie as it was being announced and promised and like built up and marketed. I want my Captain Crunch, you know, Galactus, the guy that just he's hungry. The man is just hungry
He's hungry.
and he needs his big boy meal. That's all he wants. He wants nothing else. He just wants to survive. It's not even a want, really. He's just surviving, man. And boy, does he mm, does he want his meal this time around.
Yes. It's such good CGI on him too, like, generally terrified of him, but he's also with his companion of Julian Garner, Silver Surfer, which
Mhm.
absolutely loved. Oh my gosh, there's a scene in this where I was like, "This is so freaking cool." I'm so glad we saw it in Dolby.
Yeah, I assume we're talking about the same scene, like where, stuff happens in the midway through the movie.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that scene really sticks out quite a bit. It's that whole second act really does remind me of like almost a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode.
Yeah.
In fact, both first and second acts together do remind me of a Star Trek: Next Generation episode, which is great. It's and that's something I feel like a lot of movies in recent years have missed out on when it comes to sci-fi and a little bits of fantasy here and there, is the idea of exploration and like how to deal with problems out there beyond what is already known. And I feel like whenever there is, a character like in the Guardians of the Galaxy where they're just exploring space and, they're saving the day and all that, it just feels like everyone knows everything and everyone knows
Mhm.
everyone. And then, maybe there's one person that doesn't, there's someone that drops exposition. Here, it's like, oh, no, they don't know anything about, Galactus. They know absolutely zilch about, the Silver Surfer. They know nothing. And when they go, because this is in the trailer, they go to accost him in his, in space.
Mhm.
And boy, like that whole sequence, like it just feels like like this whole sequence was everything I wanted when it comes to a sci-fi, exploration kinda movie, and I know I've talked to a lot of other Fantastic Four fans that have been, wondering where that part has been in other Fantastic Four movies, like, where has been the exploration part? The true tried and true, original point of the Fantastic Four, where it's like they're explorers, right?
Mhm.
And here, I think this movie does capture that quite a bit.
Yeah, well, let's be honest, this is the best Fantastic Four movie, hands down. Not hard to beat the other ones, but, like, this is the best
You
one.
give me the 1990s one? Oh, perfection.
And I think it really has to do with its world building, like, this is such a world building film, and I think it's something that Matt Shakman is super special about. You could tell he just loves these characters and, like, studied them and read them, and, you're absolutely right, we finally get that kind of Fantastic Four where they feel like adventurers in a sense, and, oh, man, their chemistry is so good, and, honestly, like it was so much fun. And, like, it's not perfect. I will say that right now. It's not a perfect film. There's some parts that the CGI is a little wonky. I will agree that the 3rd act, where it was cool, I did feel a little disappointment, but I still really love this film.
Yeah, before we started recording, I had to admit to Amory, the movie did disappoint me a little bit here and there.
Mm,
Again, not to the point where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna see this movie again, ucky." No, nothing like that, but it just was that 1st and 2nd act, mainly the 2nd act, were so good
mhm,
that it's just when we got to the 3rd act, which wasn't bad at all, it's just comparatively it's like, wow, that was kind of a bit of a step down.
I feel like it's expectations versus reality.
Maybe.
I think that's where it kinda came into play for me, where I was like, "Oh, I expected one thing and something different happened." Not bad, but it's just in your head you have one thing, which we can go over more in when we do our spoilers, which will be out soon. But I think that's kinda where it fell apart. Now, going to see the movie again, I'm sure I'll love it more because I already know what's gonna happen, so
Yeah, I mean, like, we can keep our expectations in check. I definitely need to see it again.
mm.
I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff that you see in the trailers, they happen in the first act of the movie.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the super nice part. I didn't feel like anything was really spoiled for me in a sense.
yeah, but it also kind of is a little bit of a fault. And this might be my own fault. I don't know, but it just felt like, oh, I've already seen this countless times through trailers, through various consumer media. Like, it's just I've seen a lot of this already. So to see it again, it just felt like, oh, okay, can we get on to the next part? And I feel like that's something that Superman did fairly well, where it shows, a lot of the stuff was shown, like the beginning of the movie was shown in its full sequence, right? But when you actually go to see the movie, there were actually some elements that were kind of cut out during that part and then, put back in for the movie. So that way it felt new.
Well, I think that's like also a fail on the marketing because I think
Yeah.
we could both agree the marketing for this movie, while we enjoyed it, wasn't as good as Superman.
Yeah, it and also it just really the marketing for Fantastic Four, was just, so odd. Like, it just felt so generic, like, at the beginning where with the trailers, but once they started to show those clips and scenes and just if they realized their whatever trailer house they were using wasn't really working out for them, I was like, "Wow, this whatever they're doing here is just great. It's phenomenal work. Like, this is the stuff I want to see in a Fantastic Four movie. I'm getting excited now. When I was at first thinking like, I don't know, I'm not even sure if this is going to be at my alley. I'm going to see it anyway because we got to review it. But like those little cuts that they did were really got me excited.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I got
Lessons in marketing, I guess, but overall, did not ruin the movie for me. Like, I absolutely enjoyed this movie, and maybe that's so cliche because I grew up in this world, and I've always loved the Fantastic Four, but it really did mean a lot, and I am so excited for what's next for Marvel.
now I got to ask, as a Fantastic Four fan,
Yes.
Emery, which character do you think was done the most sincerely accurate to their source material?
Oh, very good question, Ethan, because I would say, and listen up, everyone, you all said, Anne-Marie, there's no way Sue Storm will be the main character. You guys, listen, Sue Storm's the best one out of here. I think, honestly, she was ripped from the comic book, and she plays the mother role so perfectly in here. There's lines that I was like, wow, I read this as a kid, and all the characters are amazing. Let's get this straight. They are a team at the end of the day. But I just felt so much like I was reading her from a comic book. And again, it just brought so much joy to me that, like, something that I read as a 7-year-old is it's here. It's real. Like, it's not a fake thing anymore. Like, and so I think Sue Storm was done perfectly. All of them are really done really, really well. But something about Sue Storm, her connection is just so well done. And Vanessa Kirby absolutely kills it.
Yeah, I felt I couldn't agree more. Like, I mean, I've only read so many Fantastic Four storylines. Probably the most exposure to the Fantastic Four I had, comic wise, was with both Secret Wars storylines,
Hmm.
both from 1985, four, and then from the 2015 run of Secret Wars. Like, that's the most exposure I've had to the
Hmm.
comic book iterations of these characters. And I think just based on that, yeah, Sue was probably done the best. Like, just her. how far she will go for certain things and for family, and just her contradictions sometimes with Reed, even when they're on the same page, it feels like sometimes they're not, and just that idea alone is scary,
Yeah.
especially considering what they're capable of.
hmm
So it gets me excited for, as you said, what's to come.
Well, let's be honest, we know that Reed and Sue are gonna be such a cornerstone in the Marvel universe, and so having such a powerful intro was so important for them. And like you said, like, even when they have conflict, you could just really feel their deep love for each other, and I think that's just something that's really unique, and it's nailed right away. Like, Sue has always been the glue to the Fantastic Four. You don't have her, it doesn't work. And so I'm very happy with Vanessa Kirby's portrayal. I think what's also interesting was Johnny Storm is he, I really liked him because in interviews they were like, well, Johnny Storm was kind of like a womanizer. Like, do we really want to do that? I thought they did something really interesting with him in this film where they really show like he's smarter than you think. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that was a very interesting take, but here's the thing, it's not like a lot of other kind of reboot or, sequels or whatever big franchise adaptations where they kind of start out that way and they have established like, "Oh, this new version that we're putting in here, it's always been this way." It's like, no, they established that Johnny has always been a womanizer,
Yeah.
and, that's part of his character, that's part of his past, but here, it's like, yes, while we do acknowledge that, he's trying to be smarter,
Mhm.
like, and almost trying to do exactly what a brother-in-law would try to do and try to impress, you know, the boyfriend, or in this case, the brother-in-law. So, I
Yes.
mean, it's just it's such an interesting dynamic, and again, family is the cornerstone of this movie. Kinda like how kindness, just being a good person, and kindness was the message of Superman. The importance of family and being there for each other is the cornerstone of this movie.
It's so interesting because you even saying that, I rewatched all the old Fantastic Four films this week, and I have a special place in my heart for the 10-story Fantastic Four, but they never had as much character development and felt like a family like this one did. Like, I believe that Reed and Sue were married. I believe Sue and Ben's relationship. That's something that hasn't really been explored in the other films. I believe Sue and Johnny, and even Johnny and Reed, like everyone was so connected in this film, and it's just something we've never seen with the other Fantastic Four, which is so crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's about
It's
time.
about damn time. I've been waiting for this one. Listen, I've had The Incredibles. That's been my Fantastic Four for 15 years. I finally have my Fantastic Four film.
Yeah. I question for you, because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you love this movie. I mean, we both really do like this movie, but I think you love it, and I'm not quite there at saying like I'm in love with it.
Mm.
I might be there when I watch it a second time, but right now I'm like, huh. Now, do you think that this movie kind of uses a lot of era heavy footage, like era themed footage a little too much? Like it leans a little too much onto that?
I think at certain parts, yes, especially in the second act of this movie, but it's nothing that ever really bothered me in a sense. If anything, I'll say the same thing I said for Superman. It's too short. This movie is an hour 55. There needed to be more to this movie.
Yeah, I could have used I think that's
Like
partially
20
why.
more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, even for like a sci-fi, exploration kind of movie, I think those do well when they have time to linger. With Fantastic Four here, it just really jumps around like a comic book, it feels like a comic book. And, like Superman, and here it feels like a comic book come to life.
Mm,
So it feels like with a lot of these movies that try to do that and do it well, feel like they need to sacrifice time,
mhm.
and I'm not sure if that's because of, like, the feel of wanting to be like more like a comic book, or if it's just because they wanna make a shorter movie for more audience, intake. So, what do you think? Do you think that's more of like a comic book stylization choice, or is that more of a we just want more butts and
Well,
seats?
I really hope it's not more butts in seats. I really hope Marvel's leaning away from that. But in this one, I do think it's more comic booky in a sense. Like there is some footage, like found footage, documentary footage in here, and I felt like that leaned more into like the world that we were in of the alternative 1960s kind of world with,
Mm.
like let's be honest, like Reed, Ben, and the Storms are basically Armstrong, like going on the moon. Like
Yeah.
that's basically what they are. So I think that's kind of why they lean towards that way a little bit more.
Yeah, and I personally would have liked if they delved more into building that world on the ground rather than through a television screen, because it does feel like a lot of the stuff to build this retro 60s futuristic world is showing it through footage. And I feel like if you're trying to immerse your characters and your audience into this type of world, don't just show footage of it, show us being immersed in there. And it does do that quite a bit, but not enough to where I feel like it just I felt in there, the moments of like, hey, say the thing, and stuff like that, or Ben interacting with like school children in the
His
streets.
old neighborhood.
Yeah, like stuff like that. I could have used more of that
Yeah.
and to really immerse me into this retro 1960s type of world. And here it just felt like, well, let's just put some more found footage or some more television that gives you that vibe. I'm like, we get that all the time here and there. I want to be immersed into it.
I think it just needed to be longer, in my opinion. I just would have loved a longer movie. So
Yeah, maybe there is like
a cut.
I don't want to keep putting that out there, like that there's oh, there's another cut of the movie. We have to like
Let's
We have to
go.
Snyder gang and like
Yeah.
expose it. No, I mean, this is probably what Jackman wanted. Again, it does provide that comic booky feel, and if that's what he wanted, he succeeded in it. But personally, I could have used a little more runtime for stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, guys, we'll definitely explore this more in our spoiler-filled review, which will be coming out soon. Again, we'll give you the weekend. We should be dropping in probably around Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday, so be on the lookout for that. But you know what we gotta do right now, Annmarie. So out of 10 Herbie lullabies,
Aww.
how many would you give this movie out of 10?
All right, you guys. I've been thinking about this lately because we've both had great comic book movies come out and not to compare them at all, but at the end of the day, I grew up with the Fantastic Four. Like this was my comic book. So I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think if anything, the half point is just because I love these characters and love this story. Again, the ending did disappoint me in a sense, but I think that's also expectations over reality. I liked how serious this movie was too. I felt like it took more of a serious tone, which I think you kind of had to do with Galactus. Sorry, he's not a funny kind of villain, and so
Captain Crunch.
he's not. Yeah, Captain Crunch. But yeah, I think a 9.5 out of 10 is where I'm gonna land here. It's not perfect, but I would go see this movie again happily.
Now, is that a tentative 9.5 out of 10? Kind of like mine was with Superman, and at the end of the day, after a little bit, I ended up giving it a 10 in my personal book? Or is that just a true, hard and true, locked in 9.5, no subject to change?
I think it is pretty much locked in for me
Okay.
because I think there is it's too short, and I think the ending does leave stuff up to the imagination, and so I'm pretty set with a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay. I would have to give it 8.5 out of 10 for now. That's very tentative. I really do want to see this movie again.
Ethan's
Just
shaking because I'm raising my fist.
the Shackman shake. No, I want to see it again just to make sure that my feelings are true here, and just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Maybe again, it was the expectations not being kept in check. I don't know, but right now, 8.5 Herbie Lullabies out of 10 is probably where I'll stick.
There we go.
You'll probably hear something different by our spoiler review. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna land. I would definitely put Superman above this movie. I'm not
Don't compare.
I was just gonna say, like, comparing is the death of joy sometimes, so, don't always do that. Don't be like your old Uncle Ethan and compare everything. But to me personally, I thought that one was better than the other, but I still enjoyed it. I came out of the movie enjoying it, and I gotta say, if anything, that second act, woo, makes everything that, price of ticket worth it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but guys, Fantastic Four. We took our first steps into that theater and we took some steps out and we let you know our thoughts. But we want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts on the movie. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Did you think that it could have used some more time here and there? Kind of like, some of our thoughts on Superman, where it's like more time here. Or did you like the stylistic choice? If it is a stylistic choice of, being just more quick cut. I don't know, guys. We want to know what you thinking. So let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, Annmarie, I think that about does it.
Let's wrap it.
All right, guys. So thank you again for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. Don't forget to subscribe, like, do the usual ritual routine. I don't know, set a fire, whatever you want to do. Not kidding. Do not do that. Yeah, guys. Thank you again for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. And thank you, by the way, for all the new subscribers that have joined us along this little journey between our Superman and K-pop reviews.
What a weird combo.
Just go do a double feature, Superman and then K-pop Demon Hunters. There's your double feature for the night. But guys, we know that a lot of you have joined us since then, so welcome first off, and we hope you stick around quite a bit, and we hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast. But whether you have or haven't, please don't forget to rewind. I've been Ethan.
I'm Annmarie. Should we say it together? 3, 2, 1. It's clobbering time!